Cassiedin Ingera. That's how the Maasai of East Africa greet one another. And it means, and how are the children? A reply of all the children are well affirms that the tribe is meeting its first obligation, the well-being of the next generation. I'm Dick Ober. As a parent, as a Granite Stater, and as president of this foundation, I believe this is the most important question that we face. Our future depends on how we answer it. And my conviction was only strengthened by the stories of impact we just saw, by the wise words of Governor Hassan, Mayor Gatsis, and Dr. McAfee. But most of all, my conviction is strengthened when I look out on this room tonight, on this extraordinary room of doers and donors, and advocates and educators and employers and policymakers and leaders. Thank you all. If we are to answer the question with greater confidence tomorrow than we can today, I see two tasks ahead. First, we must raise our collective understanding about the challenges facing families and children today in every community, from Nashua to the North Country, Hanover to Hampton. And secondly, we must recognize, as Dr. McAfee has taught me, that most of these solutions are at hand. We have to identify the ones with the most promise. We have to commit to achieving real results, and we have to put these pieces together. So thank you, Michael, for reminding us that trying hard, as we all do, isn't enough. So first, the challenges. New Hampshire's defining theme in the late 20th century was population growth. For much of the last 3 decades, this was among the fastest growing states in America. The primary driver was in-migration, as hundreds of thousands of people moved in. And with that growth came prosperity. And we grew accustomed, as Senator Forrester said, to top 10 rankings in educational attainment, in public safety, in income, in health. We talked about this phrase, the New Hampshire advantage, with little agreement about what it actually means. Is it low taxes? Is it natural beauty? Is it small town spirit? Is it independence? Why did we need to pin it down when the state as a whole was doing so well? In fact, a sense that we were growing too fast sparked a very successful land conservation movement, which is when I met so many of you. It seemed in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, the first few years of the 21st century, that growth would never slow, until it did. So that was then, and this is now. Since 2006, annual growth in New Hampshire has dropped by nearly 90%. That is a staggering directional shift. And the thing is, I don't think that our collective understanding, our collective resolve has caught up with that new reality. And that in turn raises a dilemma. For 35 years, we were really good at welcoming new residents and importing prosperity. But how good are we at building opportunity and building promise here? We better find out, because the benefits of that past growth, as we know, were not equally shared among all of our residents. And we can no longer count on importing success from outside. We have to help all of our young people flourish here and encourage them to stick around. And to do that, we have to make the right investments, the right policy decisions here and now. That demands that we confront some challenging truths, especially facing children and youth. The Carsey Institute will refresh this data this fall, but it appears as though New Hampshire may have the fastest growing rate of increase of childhood poverty in America. 16,000 more children live in poverty today than in 2008. So why is this happening, and how have we let it? Why does the gap between these two rankings matter, these two rankings among the states? Because academic ability is now less of a factor for college completion than financial ability. Talent, hard work, and brains matter less than money, and we know our young people are drowning in student debt. Remember, our current proportion of senior citizens in New Hampshire is about the national average. So when someone says we have lots and lots of people over 65, please counter, as Dr. Ken Johnson has taught me, please counter. We're about at the national average for people over 65. What we have is a very high median age, at 41, third highest in the country. That's a great asset now for our workforce, for the leadership of our nonprofits, for our leadership of our public institutions. But who replaces these workers and these civic leaders when we all retire? Alex's battle with heroin is far too common, and he was one of the lucky ones because he found treatment when he needed it. Only Texas does a worse job of treating drug addiction and alcoholism. That is not good enough. We have to do better. So left unchecked, Steve Norton at the Center for Public Policy Studies estimates that these trends could erode our workforce by 10% in the next 25 years. And as Ross and others have said, employees tell us today it's hard to find the skilled young workers that they need. So these facts are discouraging, they're depressing, and I get no pleasure from repeating them. But data do not define destiny. Data isn't destiny. Data is a tool. We can choose to chart a new course, a course where every child in New Hampshire is given the opportunity to succeed, from cradle to career, as Dr. McAfee has said. I believe this is a collective moral obligation, and I know that many of you believe that too. But even if you don't buy that, investing in families and youth makes economic and it makes civic sense. The future of our workforce, of our businesses, our nonprofit institutions, our civic institutions, our government, quite literally depend on it. So let's turn to solutions. As one wise foundation board member said recently, we have to encourage a complete cultural change in the way we think about and invest in children and youth. In the words of another leader who's here tonight, we must ensure a stronger safety net today while reducing the need for it tomorrow. It's easy to say, and it's harder to do, but I am bullish on our chances because while New Hampshire has big challenges, we also have distinctive assets. Our small scale enables us to be innovative and nimble. Not that we always are, but it enables us to be. We know how to collaborate. This idea of public-private partnerships, it's not some abstract concept in New Hampshire. It's just what we do. We remain one of the most politically balanced states in the country. It doesn't mean we don't have our differences, but we have not succumbed to the polarization that has gripped so much of the country. We vote and volunteer and talk about issues more frequently than Americans as a whole. We understand that Yankee values mean balancing independence with community. And although there are significant and growing gaps in income and opportunity, gaps that we ignore at our peril, we are still one of the healthiest, wealthiest, and best educated states in the country, at least for now. So we need to use these assets, use them wisely to better young lives. You just saw 4 stories where that's happening. And we are humbled to be partners with those visionary leaders and with hundreds and hundreds of others, many of whom are with us tonight. A very, very short list. City Year, Stay Work Play, the Coalition for Business and Education, Families in Transition, Media Power Youth, Life of an Athlete, Early Learning Centers, after-school programs, pathways from classroom to work, often, as you saw in that video, being developed by employers in partnership with local school districts. And of course, as Katie said, our student aid partnerships ensure thousands of young people get the job training and the education that they deserve. We do this work because of the donors who build this foundation year by year and fund by fund, and by the partners in this room. Your philanthropy, your passion, your talent is the lever for results. In all, more than 40 cents of every dollar from the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation currently goes to programs and scholarships to support children and youth. But we must do more, and we must do it together. So tonight, I commit this foundation to help build a new youth opportunity agenda for New Hampshire, to fulfill the promise that is the Granite State, the promise that has given all of us a tremendous quality of life and that we must sustain into the next generation. We commit to learn more about both these challenges and the solutions. We commit to engage with all of you and other stakeholders to advance and develop a new narrative for where New Hampshire is going. And we commit to give to those organizations that are showing results. I ask you to do the same. Engage, learn, give. We've posted a few ideas on the website tonight, but please share yours with each other, with the foundation, and that starts at our reception this evening. So as Eric said, Eric Hurt talks about a network for good. A network for good. I say it's time to activate our network for good. And it starts with us, united in common cause today for a better New Hampshire tomorrow. In just a minute, we're going to welcome the faces and voices of tomorrow with a special performance to close the evening. And then please continue the conversation in the ballroom and the lobby. So here's my hope. 10 years from now, we will say that we recognized this moment for what it was, a watershed for our beloved state. That we made the tough decisions, the smart investments, and the right policy reforms. That we mustered the vision, the will, and the leadership to focus on results. So we can say then with confidence, yes, all our children are well. Thank you, and good night.